Hello viewers. In the last episode we had discussed about how animals and human beings are interacting so closely these days and that has resulted in the coronavirus. On the one hand, there is deforestation in areas like China, where in Wuhan, from where the coronavirus is supposed to have started, and on the other, due to demand from markets, especially markets from rich countries, animals are being brought closer to human inhabitation in what is called commercial farming of animals. So there is a rise in zoonotic diseases. The virus is jumping from the animals to human beings, and hence there is this coronavirus, and scientists predict that this is not the end of the story, and as we continue in the coming years, there will be more of such unique viruses which are quite new to human beings, and it will be very difficult to fight them. So we need to balance it out. But recently, interestingly, there was a study in Nature, Ecology and Evolution which brought out some startling facts. In the G7 countries, the rich nations, 5 of the G7 countries, for example, that is Britain, France, Germany, Italy and Japan, account for 91 to 99% of the deforestation footprints. And mind you, this deforestation footprints are not in their nations, but in nations that are poor and in tropical countries. Recently, as the demand has grown, this deforestation from the resulting of the activities of the G7 nations, this has resulted in further expansion of the deforestation footprints to India and to China. Now, what has happened is this study has also shown that each person in the G7 countries account for about 4 trees being cut in tropical regions, in countries that I have mentioned, that is India and the poorer countries in South America, in Africa. Now, most of these poor forests are in poorer countries, and the demand is in richer countries, as a result of which deforestation is taking place extremely fast in the tropical regions and in poorer nations. In 2019, a study had shown that the footprint that the deforestation is taking place at an alarming pace. For example, in 2009, the 2019 study showed that forests, primary and old forests of football pitch, get destroyed. They get destroyed every 6 seconds. That is about 38,000 square kilometers in all. This is what is happening, and now, as per data, the forest cover is just about 30% in the tropical regions. This is really worrisome. And when there is demand happening, more forest areas are getting cut. For example, I'll read out from some of the data. For example, you have a study has shown that cocoa consumption in Germany, for example, has grown multifold. And for this, what has happened is the forests are being cut in Ivory Coast and in Ghana. That is where it's happening. So poorer nations are losing their forests, and the demand is from richer nations. In Vietnam, forest loss is in the central highlands is mainly driven by coffee drinkers in the US. Look at the connection. US has a high demand for coffee, and it is the poor diagonally just across in the tropical regions. Vietnam people cut the forests in order to grow coffee. Similarly, in Brazil, there's a huge deforestation taking place because you need to have sugarcane there growing. India is also there. India also has a lot of deforestation taking place because you have in Kerala, for example, you had deforestation taking place in the Western Ghats, or not in Kerala, in Goa, in Karnataka, right up to Maharashtra and Gujarat in the Western Ghats. You had a lot of trees being cut. Why? You had to grow spices, you had to grow pineapple and other cash crops for richer nations. So this is how this imbalance is taking place, and this is resulting in more deforestation happening across the world. So there must be some via media. On the one hand, the commercial demand is growing, and the poor nations remain poor, and they are forced to cut their forests in order to grow commercial crops for the richer nations. Either we need to cut down consumption or plan for forestation as you go across, as you cut trees, go for forestation in other areas so that the forest cover is not at a loss. Unless this balance is maintained, it will be very difficult to control climate change. Primarily, the climate change is because of deforestation, and that has been prone. So we need to strike a balance, and this balance is what we are going to, we have to forcefully do it so that we preserve Earth, we preserve nature, at least for the next generation. In the next episode, we shall discuss another interesting study of how this imbalance is taking place. And until then, goodbye to all of you.